Hey guys, it's Ben the Coin Geek at Old Pueblo Coin, and today I have for you an open box video with some pretty interesting world coins, some stuff that I decided to get certified just to help, well, broaden the experience for all of our collecting minds. We're going to go ahead and look at some coins that are pretty fascinating as far as collectibles go, things that maybe you and I don't see that frequently. And if you saw these in a just like a loose box of foreign coins, you'd probably say, "What?" Or more more appropriately, maybe, "What?" All right, so that's enough of that. So wild and crazy stuff, because you look at, there's a big cross, there's all these dots, there's these fat letters, which, it's sometimes hard to tell if they're even letters or not. Then there's this portrait of a guy with a crown, kind of kingly, right? He's got some Mitsubishi symbols all around him. And then you've got a lot of design, but a lot of design missing. You'll see little edge pieces coming off of this. This is Edward III from 1351 to 1361 England. This is a 4 pence, also known as a groat, which is one of my favorite nicknames of all time. I didn't see exactly the coin, but I think someone had one of these on eBay that was an XF and it was listed at top pop. It's really interesting just to see, how hard it is to get these coins that are attractive. It's easier to get ancients in uncirculated grade than a lot of these medieval British coins, and that's no joke. I mean, just look around and try to find really nice British coins from the 1400s. 13, 14, 1500s, and it's nearly impossible, and it just, once again, it speaks a little bit to the affordability of ancients in my mind, but also just what a specialized field medieval is. And this is a much nicer portrait, and the coin is in, I think, nicer condition than the previous. You got more detail around the edge, around the letters, and of course you can see the lettering a whole lot better. Now, one of the things that's really a shame about this coin, a couple things. First of all, there's this big crack on it, which is, to me, is not a shame. I think that's pretty cool. That's actually pretty neat. You can see the light flowing through that sucker. The shame is that they called it clipped and didn't give me a grade on it, which kind of sucks because, I mean, just put a grade on it, guys, and that way people can decide what they want to pay for it. And it says clipped, and maybe it could have said just broken planchet or something, because that's the real thing that you're going to see. When you say clipped, what you mean is that part of the edge is missing, right? But a lot of these coins were clipped, and the funny thing is, like, this coin here is the one that looks like it's been clipped, like there's a little piece that's been taken off. But anyway, I digress. So this is Edward, this one's Henry VI, and another 4 pence, 1422 to 1427. So you're 75 years before well, lots of things, right before Columbus sailed the ocean blue and the Reformation, all the things that brought the Western world together into what we know it is today. But one of the things that's interesting to me is, could you imagine what it was like to live in England in the 1400s? Egad, that just had to suck. I mean, I much rather would have been living here in the U.S. of A. during that time period. I mean, depending on where you're living. But the thought of England in the 1400s is just not really appealing to me. Here we got a smaller piece. And what's interesting about these things, first of all, they're so thin that it looks like, oh no, someone scratched an X in it. Well, no, that X is actually, of course, from a clashed, from the other side of the coin. Just the way that they're so thin. You'll see this on most of these smaller coins. And another little portrait here. This is Henry VI as well. So the portrait's similar, although you can see the time frame on these is really quite different. Now that gets me scratching my head because it itches. So this one they also called clipped. And of course, the smaller silver coin is called a penny. That's just their main small denomination, which is why many people get mad at me when I talk about our coins and I say penny, because they think we overthrew the crown. So don't use that term. But of course, that's just kind of a modern. That is just the vernacular, people. All right. So next, we're going to move to someplace completely different. and a different time. So we had Columbus, we had colonialism, we had all kinds of things, because here's Carlos the Fourth, 1794, but you want to find out where the coin's from on these guys, you got to find the mint mark. The mint mark on these guys, this is a 2 real, that's the 2R over here. And this is one of my favorite mint marks of all time. This thing, it looks a little bit like the snake on a pole, a caduceus or something. That's actually the Potosi Mint in Bolivia. P-O-T-I-S-A. I said that so fast, I probably said it all wrong. If I'd slowed down, I would have said it wrong, only it wouldn't have sounded as cool. So we're going to stick with that. And that's all the initials right there stacked on top of each other. Pretty cool coin, 2 reals. It's interesting because 8 reals are easier to come by, and 2 reals are less. 4 reals are kind of the hardest to come by. Oddly enough, this one they called a fine 12. Neat little coin. By the way, I mean, as far as the valuation goes on these coins, I haven't been mentioning prices really. You're looking at coins that are mostly going to be, you know, $100 to $200 range so far. Now, having said that, I get to another one of these guys, 1797, and you know, this one we're going to look. The 4 reals are a lot more scarce, and you've got the mint mark here, NG, which is kind of funny because in our own little circles, you know, if you put NG on a coin, it usually means no good, like it's not real. So it's just kind of a funny little thing. But this is actually from Guatemala. They called this fine details cleaned. This one frustrated me because, you know, I mean, I don't know why you call it cleaned. It's not really the type of thing that you would call cleaned. It actually just looks like a normal worn coin. A little frustrating, especially since this is a scarcer coin. 4 reals are tougher. Guatemala is tougher. You know, this, we'll see. I got to do a little bit of research still on this guy, but several $100s probably on that guy. A little bit different than the other ones. And while I was sending stuff off, I said, hey, let's send off some of these little early fun little 4 reals. This is Mexico. This mint mark, that ZS, is the Zacatecas mint. Nothing's more fun than pronouncing the Mexican mints. And of course the classic cap and ray design that they have on their coins. And the eagle with the snake in its mouth. And the cactus. No, it's not jumping rope, that's a snake. Republica Mexicana. Cool design. One of my favorites. And it's actually just neat to see. One of my favorite things about this entire series is that the number of dies that they used and how some of them look completely different than others. Like the engraving is just totally different than some of the other ones. This one they called a VF25. Fun little coin. And last but not least, we went ahead and sent in one of these 8 reals here. A Mexico City mint, the MO. 1885. And I sent this one in because it had these cool little chop marks on it. You know, one of the reasons why there's chop marks on coins and so many different types of coins went over to the Far East is because they don't really have natural supplies of silver over there. And so when you talk about the Silk Road and you talk about all the ships that sailed from South America, we usually think of those South America ships that got shipwrecked and they were heading over to, you know, back to Europe from South America, but a ton of that stuff was shipped over into Asia, and so there's lots of shipwrecks over there too. This one's really cool. Look at that, chop marks, lots of little chop marks. So this one, that's actually also a chop mark. It's not a hit on that guy. So what's a little bit disappointing, of course, they called AU Details chop marked scratches. Fun looking coin though. The scratches are up here. You can see them. It's okay. I mean, they are what they are. There's you know, I think they're identifying these lines up here that make a cross right at the center. You know, so they're there. I mean, it's not the end of the world. I mean, you got oftentimes in these coins you'll have other things that look like scratches, right? So this area here looks like there's some scratches, and you know, there's that argument of, well, how many? It's a worn coin. To me, Usually a scratch, I want to be able to see it really, really easily with without a loop, especially on a coin that is circulated. Now, if you have an uncirculated coin, it actually, I would treat it a little bit differently, where you know, because well, a scratch would stand out on an uncirculated coin. If you had a scratch somewhere, because of the luster underneath the coin, it would just pop, and you would see it right away, and then you can really call it out. But on this coin, you know, there are lots of marks and scratches among them. One of my favorite things, by the way, is just the way that they struck this chop mark right dead center of the Liberty cap. It's kind of cool. New legend. What is that? Kind of fun stuff. All right, guys. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Ben the Coin Geek. You can subscribe by clicking on the owl button in the corner and watch more videos on the right side of the screen. Thanks.